So the Niners aren't going all in until they trade Jimmy Garoppolo and spend that cap space on new players. But that's not going to happen because one, they can't. Jimmy's still on the team. But even if Jimmy weren't on the team, I don't think they go all in on this year. If they trade Jimmy 2 weeks ago and they had an extra $25 million in cap space, I don't think they'd be using it. And maybe that's part of the reason that they've been so reluctant to trade him, that they've been so content to wait and be really slow. Because I don't think they ever intended to make a big splash in free agency this year. They got one starter, Travarius Ward, and he wasn't cheap. Going to cost them almost $14 million a year. Other than that, I think their intention is to sign a bunch of backups. Sign Travarius Ward, show people, placate your fan base, give the media something to praise you about, and then just go straight up backups, depth, special teams. Why? Over the weekend, I was hypothesizing that it's a lack of faith in Trey Lance, that hey, we don't really know what we have in him, and maybe we'll go all in next year. Nah, forget all that. The Niners don't make decisions like that. At the highest levels, it's not football-based. It's always money-based. Why are the Niners waiting until next year to go all in? Because the cap goes up in 2023. End of story. Going to go up big time in 2023. They're waiting until that. Also, this year, so what they're going to do this year is eventually trade Jimmy. No rush, because all they're going to do with that is re-sign Nick Bosa and Deebo Samuel. So they could trade Jimmy. What did Adam Schefter say? They could draw this into training camp? Because the extensions for Deebo Samuel and Nick Bosa aren't going to come until right before training camp. So that's when the trade's going to happen. And they're just going to use that money on Deebo and Nick Bosa. They're only going to bring in one new starter this year when they need lots of new starters. And they're going to say, hey, we're still one of the best teams in the league. We're still going to be in the playoffs. We're still going to contend, and they probably will. But where they fall a little bit short, that'll be 2 years in a row that they could have won the Super Bowl but didn't because they had a ton of money being wasted on the Jimmy Garoppolo thing. So, and I think it's way smarter to go all in this year, because if you wait until next year, every team's going to have cap space. You know what I mean? Every team's going to have cap space. Cap's going to go up. Every team's going to have cap space. So how are you going to have an advantage? You're in Silicon Valley. You're in Santa Clara. No one who's not from here wants to live in Santa Clara and pay those prices. You're not a free agent destination yet. You're just not. So if you went all in this year, you'd be one of the few teams with cap space. You would have an advantage. You could go out and splurge and get Stephon Gilmore right now, Zadarius Smith right now, and have very little competition. Next year, when you create this cap space, you're going to have a ton of competition. You're going to do business as usual, which is just, not splurge on the best players, get tier 2 players. That's what you're going to do. That's why the Niners aren't going all in. It's a financial decision. The organization is run by financial analysts, Jed York, Parag Marathe. They're not making football decisions. It's not like, oh man, we're 3 plays away. Let's pivot. Let's improvise. Let's not do business as usual. Let's do something a little out of character to go over the top, because nothing's promised or guaranteed in football. You think you have a team that's going to be in contention to contend for the next 5 years, and then people retire, people get hurt, things change. Ask Jim Harbaugh. So always wait until next year is dangerous. Go all in now. There's still a bunch of good free agents available. If you traded Jimmy Garoppolo to the Colts for a 3rd-round pick today, you could go get Zadarius Smith tonight. Instead, they'll wait until next year. They'll call it a win that they re-signed. They're gonna spin it like this: we improved our 2 biggest weaknesses, cornerback and special teams. We got a 3rd-round pick or whatever for Jimmy Garoppolo eventually, and we re-signed Deebo and Bosa. Boom, that's a win. No, that's not enough. You could have done so much more. And a lot of people are going to praise you for it because you have a lot of sycophants in your fan base and in the media, although that's bled together. I'm not going to praise you for that. You shouldn't be praised for that. A team that's content being 6th best in the league is pretty whack to me. Go for it. Go for it. Jed, go for it. Your uncle would. You always talk about calling your uncle. What would your uncle do? Your uncle would go for it right now. He wouldn't wait till next year. Why are you waiting till next year? Because the spreadsheet told you that's the best thing to do? Because Parag told you it was the best thing to do? I'm telling you, you go all in now. If you wait until next year, that's just a weak financial analyst move. Make a football decision.